welcome to Comic Books and You. Today we are talking about Dawn of DC, Adventures of Superman, John Kent, Road to Injustice, the next chapter in the saga of the Super Son. That was a pretty long title. Okay, it's probably supposed to be only Adventures of Superman, John Kent. You have to precise that it's John Kent because it's not actually Superman, it's John Kent, who is a Superman. This is part of the issue with this entire issue. Haha, joke again. And we are going to go through it. So let's start as usual with our characters. We've got Jonathan Kent, because Jonathan Kent is a Superman, but he's not Superman. Jonathan Kent is Jonathan Kent, just like Miles Morales is Miles Morales. So he's the natural born son of Clark Kent. His key characteristic is that he's gay. That's his entire identity at this point. He was tortured by Ultraman in his youth, and that's part of why he's got a bit of a messed up history. So he's got the same powers as regular Superman, but with 50% more rainbow. Here we have the scene where it shows that he was abused in his youth, which is a great look. DC, really great look. Here's the main villain, Ultraman. So he is an alien from the land of light, who is a technologically advanced super planet from the M78 Nebula, about 3 million light years away from Earth. It's a species with a strong sense of justice, and many of the people from the Land of Light go to other worlds to help protect them. Ultraman has the power to grow to immense size to fight monsters, kaijus, and he can fire Ultra Beam by making a cross with his arm. But because Earth atmosphere is a bit different from the Land of Light, he can only do it for a very short period of time. Wait. Yeah, no, that's not the Ultraman we're talking about. That Ultraman. So he's an evil Superman from another multiverse. From what I understand, he's hunting other Superman in the multiverse, like Jet Li in the One. He abused and tortured John Kent in his youth, and he has all the powers of a regular Superman, but 100% more evil. Then we have Black Superman, and it's not Icon because Icon has its own comic in Milestone Returns, and he's his own character. It's not an actual Black Superman, it's Icon. This is Val-Zod, who's from another multiverse, and Val-Zod, so he's related to General Zod, so you don't quite know if he's a bad guy, drama. Basically, he's regular Superman, but with 50% more BLM. We also get in this comic Woman Red Tornado, because when you build a robot, you give it boobs. I think it could be okay. I mean, I've seen it in anime. I guess it works. It's not Vision, okay? It's basically the exact same character as Vision, but he can do a tornado instead of shooting beam. And this is a multiverse version of Red Tornado, and it's actually Lois Lane. We've got Diversity Ire gay boyfriend, Jay Nakamura, so I believe he's half American, half Japanese. He has to hide his identity because it's known that he's Superman's boyfriend, and his entire personality is that he is gay. That's the only thing this character really is. He's a placeholder. Super interesting, I know. So we'll go through the story as usual. So we start off with Superman getting his ass kicked by Ultraman. And it's important that we see Superman get killed again. It's very important for the DC editorial team that the hero, the one people aspire to be, gets killed again and again. Doesn't have to be it has to be a recurring theme, actually. And then we switch over to John and Jay talking in the park. It's very important to bring up really quickly that John is gay, because if you didn't, he wouldn't be different enough from his father to be an actual character. So it's a rather pointless discussion. Jay's not too happy that he has to hide who he is. John is happy that he can walk around more or less free with people not knowing who he is. This is riveting comic book dialogue and comic book action. Luckily, right as this is going on, a bunch of satellites start falling out from the sky. And apparently Superman, well, this Superman, because there's more than one Superman, but this Superman is available to save the world. And as he's leaving, he calls Oracle to tell her, like, hey, get the Teen Titans on the job as well. But I have a few questions when this is going on. Where's the rest of the Justice League? I mean, the Justice League of America, Justice League International, Justice League Europe, one of the Justice League. I mean, they've got plenty of manpower that could help with this. Do you think Batman would let satellites crash in or around Gotham City? Where's Booster Gold? Where's Jaime Reyes, Blue Beetle? Where's one of the 97 Green Lantern that ends up hanging out on Earth because hanging out at their headquarters in Oa is kind of boring? Where's actual Captain Marvel? Or is girlfriend slash sister slash best friend slash, depending on what you're reading, Mary Marvel? Any single one of either those groups or person could have been helping here. Not much of an issue. John starts breaking up all the satellites above Africa, parts of Asia, parts of Europe, all over the place. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. The biggest problem is that there's a lot of them, and someone else miraculously appears to show up to help them. We don't know who it is. And while this is going on, John seems to hear someone speaking in his head, and I assume it's Ultraman. At that point, we're not given many details. Yeah, that is your threat in this particular volume. They bust most of the satellite, and John travels towards the other person that's busting up satellite, and ta-da! We meet Black Superman. He's busting satellite after coming into this Earth from another multiverse with Woman Red Tornado. No explanation of how he got there. No explanation of really who he is other than Val-Zod. Oh, drama. He's got Zod in his name, so maybe he's probably related to General Zod, who's a bad guy. Yeah, that's the level of writing we're dealing with here. So they meet up with Mr. Terrific. I'll be honest, there's no reason for Mr. Terrific to be there at the Kent farm in Kansas, and they have a chat around breakfast because that's what riveting comic book action we want. And Val-Zod tells John Kent that Ultraman is going around and killing all the other Supermen. So John has to go and beat him. Don't ask me why Val-Zod can't do it, okay? I guess he's not Superman enough. Is he 3/5 of a Superman? Who knows? Let's try not to be too mean here. And finally, we get our big reveal. Woman Red Tornado is Lois Lane. At that point, I was totally whelmed. Okay, it was such a reveal that I didn't care. I didn't care at all. So this is not a very good story overall, and not even because of some of the points I've brought out, but just because of the format and the whole story, how it's going. Replace all the characters with more traditional characters, and it'd still be a bad story. If you replaced John Kent with actual Clark Kent, let's go with actual Superman, and he was chatting with Lois Lane in the beginning, it'd already be more interesting because we actually have a connection to those characters. If Val-Zod was Icon, it would be more interesting. A different character, someone really doing something to bring news that something bad is going on. That would be interesting. There's no point to that Woman Red Tornado except random drama. So you could remove her. You can remove Mr. Terrific. He has no point in being there. I mean, Val-Zod and John can talk to each other without having a third party there. Literally here, there's a lot of characters that don't need to be there. There's a lot of characters you can replace with another character and would work just as well or better. Honestly, not a good story. The cover, however, is pretty good. This is the only cover I'm going to buy. I'm not going to go hunt for the other covers even on the internet just to find them. Not interested in this comic enough. But this is a good comic. It really represents Superman. I would have liked the S to be red to be really Superman, but it might differentiate John Kent Superman and actual Superman. I know it gets confusing when everybody's called Superman, and I'm a bit surprised that S was not a rainbow colored, but that's how it is. Artistic merit, it is a good looking comic compared to a lot of more recent DC fare, especially when we fall in that particular DIE branch. This one is good looking. We know that DC is trying to push this comic as much as they can, so they have to put some of their top tier people on it. The action, you see here Superman busting a bunch of satellite. That bit looks pretty good. There isn't much action in the comic. Good thing it's not called Action Comic, but the action we do get is pretty good. The characters are very well drawn. They look different from one another. We have a good understanding of who is who, even though they all wear the same or close to the same costume. John doesn't have a cape. His costume is a bit more athletic style. Val-Zod, typical blue costume, so red, white, and blue, but in an opposite kind of color scheme. Not awful, I actually kind of like it. And Ultraman, well, he's got the weird U ear on his chest, so you can differentiate who he is. And he does have a more angular face than Clark Kent or the regular Clark Kent, so he looks a bit more intimidating. Character facial expressions are pretty good overall, and we have decent enough panel work in this comic, so it does like break out of the panel. We've got a few full pages that are pretty good. So you've got a lot of very good work on that level. I'm really happy about that. Of course, where everything falls apart is the various story element. Multiverses should just stop being used. Just stop. DC, Marvel, whoever else is writing. It's awful. This is a map of the DC multiverse. I have no idea what is what in there. I probably would need a magnifying glass or a degree to understand which Earth is Earth, and Earth 5, Earth 3, Earth M, Earth W. I don't think that one exists, or because Wildstorm is not important enough. It's just no, stop doing that. It's the kind of thing you can use as a one of or as a major story element once in your story. They did that in Fairy Tale. They went to an alternate dimension and everybody was the opposite of what they were in the real one. Good old classic Star Trek kind of fare. Outside of that, it gets tired extremely quickly, removes any weight from character death or character actions, because on another Earth, it's going to be different. And on another Earth, well, this character is going to be dead and this one's going to be alive. On another Earth, Thomas Wayne Jr. is Batman while Bruce Wayne is dead. We get confused. We don't understand what's going on, and it doesn't help the storytelling. Multiversal travel appears to be super easy, barely an inconvenience. So Ultraman just goes around and kills the other Superman like Jet Li into one, and that makes that story even cheaper. I mean, I remember that movie. It was not very good, not terrible either. Basic Jet Li American vehicle trying to push the actor, and it wasn't as good as some people think it is, I guess. It's been 22 years since that movie, so maybe the author thinks he's being innovating in the genre, but he's definitely not. We've been harping about the tokenized character and our Asian gay boyfriend is only there for tokenization, but that's basically what it is. We have characters that are mannequins with costumes on them, with an identity plopped in so people can identify with them or people can connect with them. But that's not what makes us connect to characters. It's the actual character that makes us connect to them, their action, their behavior. It gets even worse because it tries to insert pointless drama in it. Oh no, this version of Red Tornado is Lois Lane. Oh no, this is Val-Zod. Is he related to General Zod? So it's not even that good. I want Lois Lane to be Clark Kent's wife, and that's it. She doesn't need to be in the multiverse. She doesn't need to be anything special. And from what another comic told me, Lois Lane is perfectly fine. She's currently the editor in chief at the Daily Bugle. Not the Daily Bugle, the Daily Planet. Little mistake here. And yeah, nothing special there because we have to have a girl boss. There's no real moral message in this story. The only thing we really have is if you are a superhero, you have to save people. Better than what we sometimes get. I'll take it. I mean, it is a bit of a moral message. The other moral message that might not be what DC editorial wants to hear is that kids who are abused in their youth turn out to be homosexual. This is a bit deriding, and while it does reflect a little bit what the community is, it's not something you should be using in your story. Not super impressed here. Lack of pacing. Let's go through that. So we've got evil Ultraman and because Evil Superman has not been done about 1,000 times. Then we get talking about feelings in a park. Then we fight evil satellites falling on Earth for reasons that are not quite explained. So I guess that's an action bit, but it doesn't have any weight, honestly. Then we meet more diversity hires, and we have more talking, this time around a breakfast. This is riveting superhero action. Honestly, this is par for course in terms of pacing for modern comics, unfortunately. There's some pretty cool ads or pretty decent ads in this one, however. We get an ad for WonderCon on March 24th to 26th. So it's one of those temporal ads like we'd have in older comics that will date this comic if you ever bought a back issue. And it's dating in a good way because it tells you, like, this is really what was going on around that time. Of course, I look at the list of names here for special guests, and the only one I can recognize is Jay Lee. I guess I'm not up to date on all of them. Oh, Phil Jimenez. Phil Jimenez. I also know at least of name. Got an ad for Dawn of DC. We've got a read list because nothing says jumping point into a new story than being told those are the comics you need to read if you want to be able to follow our story here in Dawn of DC. This is not a very good look. Get multiple Shazam related ad because Shazam 2 is/was still in cinema at the time. It's one of those movies that absolutely bombed at the box office. It clearly shows that the marketing team at DC, well, I wouldn't say just at DC, I would say in quite a few places, needs an absolute and complete revamp. There's also this title, which is a graphic novel for kids based on Shazam, the movie. I'm pretty sure this will not sell very well, and it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all. It's not because it's for kids that it has to look like this. Once again, fairly whelmed by this. So we're going to go through some final thoughts. This is Dawn of DC #1 and jumping point into a new storyline, but you should have read Lazarus Planet. You probably need to know who Val-Zod is, Mr. Terrific is, who Oracle is, who the Titans are. So as far as a jumping point goes, not great, really. Take out the diversity hires from this, you still don't have a really good story, okay? It's not that diversity hire ruined the story. The story was ruined by being written down. It's not enough to fill a 22-page comic. With a decent editor, what's in there, I would have cut it down to about 14 pages and used those other 7 pages or 8 pages to actually give us an idea of who those characters are. More than, well, this is Black Superman. This is Gay Superman. This is Superman with a T on his face. That's literally what John Kent is. He's 100% a tokenized character. He's no longer the son of Earth's Defender, the new son of Krypton. He's just Super Twink. That's what he is. Multiverses are awful. They keep using it. DC, Marvel, they just keep repeating it. And like many things in DC and Marvel, they repeat the same mistakes and hope for a different result. Injustice and Injustice 2, I thought were a pretty cool video game because you had all those superheroes and supervillain beat each other up. You actually add a fairly nice selection, including some of the, you know, B tier heroes and villains. So it got fun, but it's not a game you play for the story, even though they try everything to do with the story. Evil Superman, that's a trope that's been overused and abused. Mark Miller has done it plenty of times. The boys have done it plenty of times. It's lazy. It's boring. We get that on top of everything else on this particular story. They couldn't think of an actual villain to fight with John. Unimpressed, honestly. So I am not buying any more of this comic unless somebody jumps in and tells me that they want me to review more of it because it's funny, or someone jumps in and tells me, no, actually, it really gets good at #5. Try to read it from there. That would be it. Keep reading comics, keep enjoying them. I'll keep analyzing them, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.